I'm Kosnathi Ndlovu, and this is TCS Plus, brought to you today by iStore Business. Large enterprises often have more resources to invest into investigating and acquiring the right technology to drive business strategy and optimize performance. Small to medium enterprises, however, do not always share the same privilege. Members of small teams often have to wear many different hats without necessarily being a specialist in either of them. When it comes to the IT function, technology brought into the business must simplify operations and not come with onerous maintenance requirements or expensive running costs. Here to delve more deeply into the topic are Sudesh Pillay, Executive Head of iStore Business South Africa, and Tamia Nontsikelelo, Founder and CEO of Tol'Thema, a female-focused fashion house. Hello, Sudesh, and hello, Tamia. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having us.
Morning, Nati. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Sudesh, perhaps we could start with you. Could you explain some of the pressures that small to medium enterprises are under and why it's important then that technology runs smoothly in these businesses?
I think SMEs are under and smaller businesses are under constant pressure. It's really about survival economics for them. The sheer current landscape or demographics in South Africa would tell you that much. We have roughly about over 5 million SMEs operating and trading in South Africa, and they contribute over 30% to the national GDP and almost 60 odd percent of the workforce. So they're a driving force behind the economics of the country. But if you look at that in relation to the unemployment rate, which is close to the 40% mark at the moment, it really means that SMEs and smaller businesses are fighting for the same customer. So it's incredibly competitive in the space they're in. And actually, a lot of people will tell you that, the commodity that SMEs are fighting for is capital. Yes, it is capital. But I think more than capital, SMEs are fighting for attention. They're fighting for attention of the customer. And technology is becoming a constant enabler to help SMEs gain attention, to allow people easier, more streamlined routes to market that previously were not available to them. We also have a large section of our SMEs that sort of don't operate out of developed infrastructures, out of developed buildings and even cities for that matter. They operate out of their homes, they operate out of townships, they operate wherever they are. And technology is sort of bridging that gap. It's bridging a gap where the structural sort of inability doesn't sort of factor anymore. Because anyone can run a business. Anyone can run a business with a phone in their pocket, with a laptop in their hands, as long as they have access to the technology and they have their great idea and obviously their business acumen and the rest that goes with being an entrepreneur or business owner. And technology is allowing for that to happen.
All right, awesome. Tamia, it seems as though Sudesh is talking about you. You're a small business owner. Could you please tell us about Tol'Thema and what it is you do?
Good morning. Thank you so much. He's definitely speaking directly to me. I relate so much. So I'm the founder of Tol'Thema, which is a modest fashion brand. We actually started online on my iPhone. We started online. My business is a little over 2 years old. And we were online for a long time. And now, although we do have brick and mortar, but we are mainly an e-commerce business and most of our sales are online. And I think we are also just a testament of exactly what Sudesh is saying, which is the fact that there are no longer limitations, right? Like the main core of my business is just the connection that I have with my customers online, right? Like we connect through communicating online. They find me on the internet, and it's almost like a little world that I've created of my brand that exists on the internet. So really, I think my business is really built and lives online. And it started from something really small, which is just me in my dorm room in university with my phone, taking pictures of my head wraps. And today we employ 15 people, and we've made over 20,000 orders fulfilled today. So much. I think something that just started as something so small has become something so big due to, how limitless things are with technology.
Yes. Tamia, though, even though you're doing so well as a business, I figure you're not an IT specialist, are you?
Not at all. Not at all.
Yeah. So, Sudesh, that brings up an interesting concept now, because you have non-IT specialist business owners having to make IT decisions. And usually what happens in SMEs is that the IT landscape ends up being fragmented as a result. This is changing, though, and you're starting to see more uniformity and a lot more strategy being put into the IT function. What's driving that?
From a small business perspective, I don't know if it's more attention or more strategy being placed to the IT function. I just think that IT and the way technology is managed has evolved. We have something, a trend that's been running for at least the last decade, if not longer, called the consumerization of IT. And what that really speaks to, and it's really one of the pillars that Apple have built their entire business on. And what it speaks to is the ability for an everyday end user to be completely empowered to use technology to its limits. To make it their best tool, to be the most productive person that they can be, to do their best work on the device. So everything that goes into the device is an enabler for that. So to support technology, to get it going, to run it for your business, for your 15 employees, like Tamia does, it's no longer the old construct of having an IT support team or having to call someone. It's actually the first call you make is to yourself. The second call you make is probably to a search engine or Google or an AI tool that you're running on your machine to try and figure out the problem on your own. Similar to, if your internet connection goes down, you figure it out on yourself. And I think mobile phones have been an accelerator to that kind of approach, because a mobile phone in your hand forced you to troubleshoot on your own. Because you might have been in a bus, in a taxi, in a car somewhere, or you're in a meeting and you needed to do something on your mobile phone and you weren't able to. Give it a couple of minutes and you figured it out, or a couple of tries, and you figured it out and you got better at using the technology. And I think that that is persisting simply because technology is ubiquitous. It's no longer an enabler to us. It's no longer an enabler for business. It's actually an extension. It's an extension of our personality. It's an extension of our brand. It's an extension of who we are and what we do on a daily basis. So if it's an extension of you, then surely you want the best possible technology. You want a frictionless IT experience. And not only that, I mean, just to draw some references to Tamia's business, it's about customer experience. And again, we're talking about a small business competing for customer attention. Well, you need great technology to be able to deliver a great customer experience, right? In large enterprises or in big corporates, downtime is a frustration. Big corporates can manage it. They can live with it. They can figure it out. They can wait a couple of hours for someone to support them, or even a day or two, in examples that I've seen. In a small business, your ability to not be productive for a few hours directly impacts your ability to pay your staff, to pay your rent, to keep your business going. So it's like downtime is not even a consideration. We cannot be down. We have to be constantly operating, constantly in the moment. Tamia sounds like she's found her tribe in her customer base. Seth Godin always said that you need to find your tribe. And if you just think back to her business, well, 10 years ago, what would have Tamia have needed to start a fashion brand? And you can just mount the costs and talk about distributors and figuring out retail space and negotiating with the big retailers on how much of cut they're going to take from the commission and consignment stock and then logistics. And then the list goes on and on and on and on. And now Tamia out of her boardroom is a fashion designer. She's a distributor. She's a retailer. She's an e-commerce engine. She's a trendsetter. Because she's able to get her ideas to the market without anyone telling her that, sorry, the market's not ready for your ideas, or sorry, that's not a great idea, or we don't actually like that color. No, because Tamia's brand is an extension of her. It's an extension of what she wants to provide. The technology enables all of that to happen. So it's actually like more than just a number cruncher or a content creator. It's actually an extension of you.
Sudesh, the numbers still have to be crunched, though. And I mean, when we're talking about the Apple ecosystem, it is a premium brand. It is a premium product. What is it that's drawing small businesses towards this premium product? Is it changes in the market? Is it the product itself?
I think firstly, you are correct. Apple is a premium product. It's made really well. It's built really well. It's built using premium components, materials, which makes it last longer. Which talks to the camera quality, the operating system quality, the ability for everyday people to use the device and use it quite seamlessly in anything that they want to do. But I think the major shift is that's happening is that. Yes, if you rewind 5-10 years ago and you say people considered Apple to be a premium device from a cost perspective, I think where the shift has happened is that the cost of buying a device versus the cost of running a device versus the opportunity of producing my best work versus the opportunity of being my most productive individual or business or team far outweighs the upfront cost, right? But having said that, if you look back now at the markets, you'll find that Apple is actually considerably cheaper on most product ranges than the PC counterparts. Recent releases, the MacBook Neo is entering the market at 11,999, and is one of the most in demand laptops at the moment. Your MacBook Air, which is a really, really premium device for a powerful knowledge worker. It's the machine I'm using currently, is coming in at around 20,000 Rand. Your PC counterparts are anywhere between 30 to 40% more expensive at the moment. And that's just the upfront labor cost. If you look at the cost of actually supporting the device over a 3-5 year period, the cost of security breaches, the cost of all of the additional components you need to add to your PC, like antivirus and I don't know, whatever tools you're running on PC at the moment to make it more secure and just to get it to do what it needs to do. All of those costs add up. And if one has to do that study, what you would find is over a 3-4 year period, your PC is anywhere between 35 to 55% more expensive than owning a Mac. Simply because the Mac comes with a lot of things built in that a lot of people might not be aware of. Security built in, antivirus and malware protection built in, it's available. Disk encryption to encrypt all of your data so that if your device breaks, if you drop it, if it gets stolen, you know that your device is secure, that your client data is secure, which is really important for small businesses from a POPIA perspective and from a data security perspective. So all of these are built in with no additional costs. Office productivity tools like Pages, Keynote, Numbers, which are, I wouldn't say Microsoft Office equivalents. I wouldn't use that term, but tools available to startups, to entrepreneurs, to small businesses to get their business going without adding any additional costs. So you need to create a proposal. Well, I don't need Microsoft Word to create the proposal. I can create the proposal on Pages. I need to do a presentation to an investor. I don't need PowerPoint. I can use it on Keynote, right? And not to say that the counter products or the Microsoft products aren't great products. They are great products. I use them on a daily basis. But that challenge for the SME that's starting up, that needs to control costs, that needs to make sure that they're getting the best bang for their buck. The Apple ecosystem enables that out of the box, absolutely out of the box.
So interesting. So if you look at it from a total cost of ownership perspective, you're getting benefits there. But then there are benefits to actually using the products themselves and the way you use them. Tamia, you've got an iPhone, I understand, as well as a MacBook. How do these work together for you in your business?
Sure. I could talk for hours because this is something that I use like every day, all the time. But I think it's really, really important to just echo what Sudesh was explaining. But like the smallest frictions, I think you just have to understand, as someone who has 7 different hats, right? The smallest thing can just sway me or like throw me off. Like, so even just a little bit of friction can make a task that is supposed to be simple and easy really difficult, because I just don't have the brain capacity. So for me, I absolutely, first of all, I think if I'm thinking about, for example, my products, right? Take e-commerce products. My iPhone was the first investment that I made into my business, right? I sell head wraps and my business was e-commerce. I didn't do a photo shoot. I didn't hire anybody. I went outside into the sun and I took pictures with my iPhone, and those pictures were good enough. I literally made my first million in revenue from pictures I took on my iPhone, from videos. The videos I was using for my marketing was just simply on my iPhone. I didn't even have to add on any editing apps because I was doing everything on the iPhone app, right? And thinking also now to when I'm editing my website, right? I'm taking the pictures that are on my phone. They need to come to my desktop because that's where I'm doing the IT work and trying to upload products into my website. The fact that as soon as I take a picture onto my phone, I don't have to stress about transferring, connecting wires, Bluetooth. I simply at this point, you don't even airdrop. The minute it's into my phone, it's already appearing on my laptop without me having to do any additional steps. When I'm making payments, I cannot explain what the Apple payment, the fact that it works just as seamlessly on my laptop and on my phone. When I'm doing things as running ads, like the ease, oh my gosh, like the time that I save, like I have not had to even bring it. There's nobody else in my team who does the IT. There's nobody else who does the accounting. I handle everything myself because of just how powerful and seamless and just empowering the tools that I have. Like you don't even need to know anything, no tutorial. You take everything out of the box and it's easy. It's really, really easy. And the copy and paste feature, that I need you guys, whoever came up with that needs to be
So
framed.
this is where you can copy from your phone or paste to your Mac or vice versa. Yes.
Like the fact that I can copy something on my phone and then it comes on my Mac, or copy on my laptop and it comes. I use that probably 20 times a day, every single day. That one feature, and it's changed my life.
Wow. That's amazing to hear. And what really contributes to that is something called continuity and handoff, which is again built into the ecosystem. So if you have multiple Apple devices, you can use an iPad as an external display. So say, for example, you're traveling or you don't have a desk and you don't have a big monitor that you can use an iPad as a secondary display. And like Tamia said, all of your data is available in the ecosystem immediately. So when she takes a picture of a head wrap on a phone, it's available everywhere for her to edit, for her to upload, for her to do whatever she needs to do. So amazingly productive. I love hearing stories like that.
So Sudesh, that's interesting. But then there's another factor that makes IT purchasing decisions, whether you're actually a small business or a large enterprise, a little more complex. Technology changes so rapidly. And right now, AI is the technology of the age, right? Its capabilities are advancing so rapidly that you don't want to purchase hardware now that in 6 months or a year or 2 years does not have the capability to handle what the AI has developed to do. How is the Apple ecosystem ensuring that, purchases are future-proofed from advances in technology?
I think it starts with the chipset. I think everyone's reading about chips and GPUs and NVIDIA and the chip shortage and whatever else acronym is out there. But it starts with the chipset, because that's essentially the brain center and the control center of the device. And Apple made a decision about 7 or 8 years ago to start manufacturing their own silicon, so their own chipset. And that's been a real game changer for Apple, because in actual fact, what it enabled Apple to do was get ahead of the AI curve, and in terms of processing power. So right now, all the way from on your MacBook, you have your M1 chip all the way to M5. The first AI capability on iPhone came out, I think, with the iPhone 11, which was the A16 chip. I stand corrected, might be even before that. But all of those devices are actually still in use today and are still supported today and are still capable of doing a lot of work today. Yes, technology is changing, and it's changing to a point where an AI tool could become available tomorrow that requires a certain baseline in terms of technology, in terms of architecture, and that might require users to upgrade. But for the better part of it, the longevity of Apple devices and the support of their devices is honestly unparalleled. We in the corporate space and in the enterprise space, we see companies using devices for 7-8 years, and not realizing that actually they need to change the device and they need to upgrade for different reasons. But when you speak to Apple users will always tell you, but the device works, dude. Like, why do I need to change it? I know I'm doing what I need to do. I myself, I still have an iPad 2 in my home that still works. It can't do the latest stuff, right? Yes. But I use it as a music player to control my speakers at home, and it works. And yes, the battery life is not great, but I mean, we're talking almost, I don't know, it's like 12 years later, that device still powers on. It still works. I can still do things on the device. So I think, again, goes back to the build quality of the devices, because the build quality is so good, because the components are so premium, and because you have one company producing the hardware, the software, and the components and putting it together, means that there's none of this interoperability problems. I always speak to people in the PC world, and they complain about drivers. And like, what's a driver? No, this driver doesn't work. And what they don't realize is drivers are just middleware used on a computer to make one component talk to the other. On Apple devices, you don't need drivers, because the components are designed to talk to each other from the onset. And those kinds of things allows 18 hours plus of battery life on a machine. It allows a better camera quality. It allows you, we always joke and we say, how do you know people are on Apple devices on video calls? It's because their video is on all the time. PC people, the video is off all the time, because again, we want to look good on camera, right? We want to look good on camera. We don't want to look terrible on camera. And if the camera is terrible, then I'm looking at myself looking terrible, which is going to affect my confidence. So I just switch the camera off, right? Or they walk into a coffee shop and where do they choose their seat? Closest to the power point, so the plug point. So they're always checking there under the seats at Mug and Bean, where's the closest plug point to bring their whole brick to put down, because they know they're going to be out of power in the next half an hour to an hour. Apple users don't have those problems. Apple users have problems, but those problems are related to being more productive and how do I get more out of my day, and how do I use the latest AI tool. And on that point, Nati, you mentioned AI. When AI came about, I think there was this underlying assumption that a user would use one AI tool. And that's what you would stick to. You would get ChatGPT and you would stick to ChatGPT. What we see now is that users are using a plethora or multitude of AI tools to do different things. And I myself am using like 6 at the moment that run concurrently through the day. And what you need to realize is that all of this AI requires brain power. It requires energy to be able to compute, to be able to give you a response in the time you need to get that response, right? And that energy and that compute power is available on the Apple device inside of the chipset. And which again adds to the productivity. Like what I like to tell SMEs is that, what we're actually doing is selling time back into your business. Like, leave all of the other advantages. And I think Tamia mentioned it, is we're selling time back into your business. It's like you have time now to focus on everything else. Multitasking is a lot easier. So when Tamia needs to wear her 7 or 8 different hats, HR, payroll, salaries, creditors, debtors, all of those things, it allows you to do all of those things in a much more manageable way. Keeps you happy.
Okay.
Definitely. I think
So
to also
great. So you can,
contribute to
yes?
your answer, it's so easy to upgrade with the iPhone. Like, in fact, it's almost like, I think speaking to your thing about upgrading the technologies, I think once you have an iPhone, you have that. I feel like for me, I feel like it's also an investment because I know that 2 years from now, I can just take my phone, my same iPhone 16, and just like trade it in and get another one. So I don't have to feel like maybe I'll get left behind, or I even need to wait a couple of years before upgrading, because it almost feels like it's free because of just how easy and integrated it is, and I won't have to change anything. Yeah.
So it's not just the iPhone, Sudesh. I mean, if you're speaking to businesses, probably the Mac is the more device, is the device that's more focused on. How do you support them when that time inevitably comes and they need to upgrade?
Yeah, it's really around accessibility, and not accessibility just from a price point perspective. It's accessibility by having a safe space to land when you're in a situation. So we've got about 40 retail locations around the country. We have a remote support desk for SMEs to call in and contact us. We have ways that SMEs can attend training in store. We have free content available online to help people become more productive with their machines. And that's really from an enablement perspective. From an actual device perspective, I think our trade-ins are probably one of the best, if not the best, values available in the country right now. So whether you have an iPhone, a Mac, or an iPad, a watch, any kind of Apple device, we trade in all of those Apple devices. And we're constantly looking at ways to improve that trade-in process and that trade-in procedure to make it a lot more seamless. But again, because of the build quality of the devices, the residual value on the devices are so good that people are always getting value back. Even after 5 years, you're getting something back. So it's not something that you just sort of throw away. It's almost like the Porsche of the motoring world. It's like there's always this value inherent to the device and to the asset. Another way we're sort of adding is we're always looking for solutions to enable the SME, to get them working a lot better, not to sell more to them, but to help them in their business and in their quest to become better. We've recently launched iStore Pay. I don't know if anyone knows about it, but iStore Pay will allow any SME with an iPhone to take payments via NFC. So no longer do you need to go to a bank now and get a merchant device or any kind of device to accept credit card and debit card payments. As long as you have an iPhone, you just hold your iPhone out and they tap their card onto the iPhone and it's done. Or they tap their phone onto your phone and you've collected the payment. No upfront fees, no management fees, nothing like that. You should have a look at it at iStore Pay. There's also new developments from an Apple perspective called Apple Business, which is even taking the technology a step further to allow SMEs to manage their staff, their devices, their applications, their security a lot easier. Doesn't require any kind of IT skills. And it's absolutely free, and it's a tool available to you from Apple that you can sign up for, and we support that from a small business perspective as well. So there's a lot of things that SMEs need on a daily basis. It's trust me when I say not most of the queries we get from SMEs are not cost related. They are cost conscious. I would call it that when they're shopping for devices, but they aren't. Yes. They're more productivity related and related to how can I best use the technology, or what can I do with this, or how can you enable me with this. We've recently held some AI talks for SMEs, and I can't tell you the amount of traction we get with SMEs just walking in and saying, I just don't know where to start. I have a small business. I just don't know where to start. And we run courses for them where we show SMEs exactly how to use AI on your device, what AI to use on your device. So you want to automate invoicing, you want to automate proposal writing, you want to automate research, you want to automate your website being updated. All of these things are becoming available on AI, and it's the technology is not a blocker anymore. It's really not a blocker anymore.
Speaking to that, I mean, Tamia mentioned that word friction, right? One of the things that a business owner may think about is if I move my staff onto a different ecosystem, onto a new operating system, they may become overwhelmed. They may not know perhaps how to use this or be intimidated. They don't know how to use it. Do you also provide support in terms of helping them transition and understand how to work the Apple way as opposed to what they may have been using before?
Before I answer the first part of the question, I would like to say it depends how old your people are. Because generally speaking, if you're employing the current generation of workforce and the current I don't know, youth workforce that are out there. They don't need any enablement. They don't need any training. You just literally give them the box and they'll figure it out, and they'll probably come to you in an hour and tell you something that you didn't know about the device. That's the reality. But yes, we still have the dinosaurs like me that are in the workplace that still are resistant to change and don't want to change. We have a lot of content, a lot of videos, remote training, virtual training, on-site training, just to help people make that shift. When you buy a Mac and you switch from a PC to a Mac, we'll help you get the Mac set up. We'll migrate your data. We'll get all of your email, all of everything working as you were working on a PC and all of that functionality. The biggest shift is your ability to change your habits and just to figure out a new way of driving your machine. I would say it's like coming from an automatic car to a manual, maybe, or the other way around, because I don't think they make manual cars anymore. It's we're all resistant to change because there's this fear that it's actually going to, number one, make us look stupid. Number two, it's actually going to frustrate us to the point where we're not going to be productive and we're not going to be able to achieve what we need to achieve. What we find is 90 to 100% of the time, once people make that shift, there's no going back, because within a matter of days, sure, there's that challenging period, I would say maybe 1 week, maybe just over a week, where you're finding your feet and you're sort of figuring it out. But post that, I don't know. I've been in this industry since 2004, in this space. I'm yet to find a user who said, sorry, I want my PC back. Take this Mac away from me. Yet to experience that. It's a completely new experience for people. And I always get PC users coming to me and say, I didn't realize that was even possible. I didn't know that, I didn't have to, one of the biggest frustrations in business is PC updates, operating system updates. That's the biggest thing I hear of every day, every week, is that people say on a Monday morning, they switch their machine on, and then they go do their laundry and they make a cup of coffee and they walk around the garden and they go and meditate, and then they eventually come back and realize it's still not ready, and then they go do something else, and then they come back and eventually it's ready. That doesn't exist on Mac. It literally does not exist on Mac. That kind of downtime, that kind of frustration, because that's what it is. It's like, I heard the carte blanche music on Sunday. I'm ready for my day on a Monday morning. I wake up and I'm energized, and then all of a sudden, boom, it just absolutely flattens you. And I think everyone can relate to that, because I'm raring and ready to go, and my energy is completely flattened by a simple thing as my extension of myself, this device that I need to function, refuses to play ball. It's an amazing thing.
All right. Awesome. Sudesh and Tamia, thank you very much for your time as well as your insights.
Thank you, Nati. It was awesome talking to you. And you, Tamia. Okay. Great product, great work.
Thank you.
Cheers. That is Sudesh Pillay. He is the executive head of iStore Business South Africa, alongside Tamia Nontsikelelo, the founder and CEO of Tol'Thema. And this is TCS Plus.